Hello, friends. It's Sunday. It's the early afternoon. You know what time it is. It's time to talk some VR games. It's time for Virtual Strangers 25. I am your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend, Ruuts. Ruuts, are you ready, buddy?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I'm ready for some news.
Ruuts is prepared. I'm prepared. Let's get into it. Loads of games to talk about this week. And first off, I'm going to talk about a very small piece of news, just a little nugget of news about a very large game, a very popular game. And I'm talking about, of course, Minecraft. So, Minecraft, very popular flat game to say the least. Why are we talking about Minecraft on a VR show? Well, the way Minecraft works is it's constantly ever expanding to new platforms. They're always looking for new ways to get this game in the hands of new players. And the way that they go about this is they have a discussion board. People make suggestions. Other readers come along, thumbs up, thumbs down. The devs see this and they act on it. Well, um, ever since the Oculus Quest launched in May, this has been a suggestion on the Minecraft discussion board that this should be ported in the Oculus Quest. And as a matter of fact, over 5,000 upvotes for this suggestion since then. And apparently the developers have taken notice because this past week they have tagged the discussion post with, quote, under review, which means they're looking at it, they're thinking about it. Maybe they're going to bring Minecraft to Oculus Quest. Ruuts, as you know, I have children. Um, my kids have all had controllers in their hands from a very young age. They have a lot of different interests, a lot of different things they do, but above all, they're gamers. And throughout the years, I've seen games come and go. Your Marios, your Zeldas, your Five Nights at Freddy's. All this stuff comes for a while, it goes for a while. Your Fortnites. One thing has remained consistent throughout the entire past 5, 6 years, and that is Minecraft. They play it on a nearly daily basis. All of them, all three of them. Um, Minecraft coming to Quest. This is going to be a system seller. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. This is going to be huge, and I'm surprised that they're even like under consideration because it came out on Gear and it was so successful for that, and it's really good on the PC version, and it's a no-brainer to me. Maybe it's just not big enough of a game or an actual full-fledged game for Oculus to 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 do, but no, I think it'll be huge. So
Yeah, I'm not much of a Minecraft player myself, but I know that you do have some history with it. You have played it in VR on PC. How does it port? Does this feel like a VR game?
yeah, it feels amazing. Actually, it's funny because it was my very first game I went into. I did the robot for Oculus, and then I went into Minecraft, and I don't even still am baffled how this happened. And so I went in and I was running around and I thought, man, this is just like regular. And then it dawned on me and I looked around and I was sitting on a Minecraft chair. I was playing on a Minecraft TV in a Minecraft room, and it said press Y. And so I pressed Y and I zoomed in and went into the TV and I was in the world, and my mind was blown. Now, one thing I would say about this game is the smooth turn is definitely, if you're prone to be motion sick, it's very pronounced, and maybe that's why they're worried about people getting sick. Maybe, I don't know. I played it, like I said, and I felt a little bit uneasy for a couple minutes, like not bad but weird, and then it went away, and I really haven't ever got sick. So, but yeah, this is amazing. Now this footage is actually the ray tracing and in VR, And I don't think Quest will be like that, but it looks amazing.
So some minor issues with motion sickness, which on one hand may be even more pronounced on something like Quest that runs at 72 hertz, but on the other hand, less of a need to turn because you're going to have this newfound freedom of movement, which comes with not being tethered. Uh, do you think that freedom of movement would make a big difference in a game like this?
I don't know. I don't know if that would affect how you moved around. Like it's all based by square to square movement, like as you're moving. So I don't know if it would affect things in the sense of like you're supposed to be hitting this block, but now that you've walked over there, it's a little bit off. But I'm assuming it should be fine. I mean, I guess I should just walk around my play space and I could find out in regular PC. But now I don't think it should affect it too much. So
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, definitely something to keep your eye on. Something we're going to be talking more about later, Minecraft in VR. But something I wanted to bring up just right off the bat because of the potential implications for Oculus Quest if they were able to land a major flat title. This game really goes beyond genres. Minecraft is kind of its own thing in the world of gaming, and it's so huge. I think that bringing something like this onto a fledgling platform like Oculus Quest at this current time when Quest seems to be blowing up, I think it could be the one of those little straws that pushes it over the line and really makes it blow up. Let me ask you this. We have Oculus Quest here, obviously Facebook. We have Minecraft, obviously Microsoft. Do you think that this lends any more credence to the rumors a few months back of some agreement between Oculus and Microsoft and possibly working together with support for VR on the next Xbox?
I don't know. I mean, they've pretty much been hand in hand for a long time with controllers. This has been on Gear. It's been on Rift. I don't know if it's necessarily has anything to do with Quest, but I mean, it does make it easier. I mean, if it would make more sense that they should immediately be on the Quest, or it's definitely going to make it if that's the case. If they don't put it on the Quest, then I would say maybe they aren't going to be merging or at least using each other's hardware. So I'm kind of hoping they are.
Yeah, it's kind of far-fetched, but I mean it's not completely unheard of. I mean, if you take into account the rumors from this past week that the Oculus Quest is going to be receiving an upgrade, a device that allows wireless tethering to a PC. Well, it's not that far of a jump then to say that the Oculus Quest could also wirelessly tether to an Xbox, a next generation console, and that would be a perfect way to experience the full version of Minecraft. So, loads of possibilities here. Most of it lands in the realm of theory and speculation, but the possibilities are exciting to say the least.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so that's all we're going to say about that. Really, there's not a whole lot to go on there. We do know that the developers are looking at it, and we know that the Quest is blowing up right now. It's a growing platform, so something to keep our eyes on for sure. Moving on, I want to talk about a game that I was unaware of until this past week, and it's a game called After H. And what After H is, it is a up to 4 versus 4 first-person shooter designed for location-based VR. So this is an established arcade-based VR game that's been out for a while now. So why are we talking about it? Well, the reason why we're talking about it is we found out this past week that this is going to be coming to Steam Early Access on, let's see, I've got the date here, Monday, 23rd of September. So just, what, a week away? This game's going to be coming into Steam Early Access. Not only is it going to be coming into Steam Early Access, but it's going to be free. 100% free. From the looks of it, a very polished title. We don't know how the home version is going to turn out, but what we do know is that it's going to have 3 levels. Yeah, three game modes: deathmatch, free for all, and a game mode called domination, and 3 weapons: an assault rifle, a precision rifle, and a shotgun. So a little bit watered down, the home version, but again, free. Ruuts, just last week or the week before, we had this talk about these types of multiplayer games. We were talking about Space Junkies in particular, and your contention was that they blew it right off the bat when they priced the thing at $40. Well, here we have the same type of game coming to Steam, and it's completely free. Does this interest you at all?
Oh, hell yeah. For a lot of reasons. One, it's not 1v1 or 2v2. 4v4 is starting to get somewhere. The fact that it looks amazing. It's already established. I guarantee it's not going to be dumbed down, at least not on the PC version. There's not anything that a location base can do better than what we can do with our PC, aside from all the extra stuff that makes you feel like you're there, wind, heat, all that crap. And it's going to the biggest thing that blew me away is the fact that it's already incorporating the player base. You're going to be playing against people that are in the arcades. I thought that's huge. Like, I read that, I had to double take, and I'm like, really? Oh my god. Like, I don't know why that's a big thing to me, but I thought, I was surprised. And I remember we talked about something like this on the show months ago, when those other guys were here. No, months ago. And it was, we were talking about like this kind of game. And I had even said, I wonder if they would ever bring this kind of game to PC. And everyone kind of like was like, oh no. Well, Nostradamus Ruuts was right. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of stuff like this. So I want to know what the catch is. What can I buy? There's going to be something I can spend my money on. Is it going to be cosmetic? Somehow they're going to get us to, you don't have to, but you can spend some money this way. You think?
Well, we do have seemingly a lot of information here about this, even more than I put in our rundown here. There is a full version coming, and I don't know if they're going to charge, and if they do, how much they're going to charge. But the free version is going to remain. It's going to remain free throughout many updates, they said here. Quote, it will launch on the 23rd of September via Steam and Viveport, completely free, with the studio stating even with regular updates, it'll remain free. But when the full version comes out, there's going to be more levels, there's going to be more weapons, more everything, more game modes. They may decide to charge for that, but this is something a bit backwards from what we're used to in VR. We're used to a popular home VR game taking itself into the arcade to trying to be successful. This is just the opposite. This is an arcade game that's trying to tap into the home player base to support the arcade version. Quote, the rationale behind this business model decision is to facilitate the game access to the maximum amount of gamers. We've noticed that all other VR first-person shooters are premium, and even at a price tag as low as $10, can prevent large adoption. Our offer is a totally free, high-quality VR FPS. Basically, what they're doing here is they're letting us play for free so that they can add value to the location-based customer. And how do they plan to keep us engaged? Well, as you mentioned, there's the crossplay. The fact that you're going to be playing against people in VR. So say if you have a friend that don't have VR at home that you want to play with, well, your friend can go to the arcade and play with you while you're at home. Now, let's say you want to go there and join your friend at the arcade and play in the same physical space. Well, they're going to have a mobile app so that you can carry your profile with you. And when you go to the arcade, you can load up your profile from home, and that way you have all your XP, all of your progression goes with you.
It's pretty smart, actually. It gives people a reason to want to go back, and it's like Call of Duty or whatever. Once you start to get all your gear and all the different things, you're gonna want to take it with you. I would pay more for more maps, more guns if it's good enough, and it looks very AAA. It looks, just like a Destiny type of game or anything like that. So
yeah, it looks awesome. I'm curious to know if this is all arcade footage or if this is the home version. I guess we'll know. And I think what you're seeing on the screen there, this is what they're aiming for. This is their eventual model for success, is they want to make this into a popular esports title. That they plan for this thing to grow to the point where 2-3 years down the line there are organized competitions, and people are willing to pay for expansions and things like that. So basically, these people are just investing in their franchise. And while it may be a risk to give their work away for free, I think it's really refreshing to see a different approach being taken to this genre, specifically in VR.
yeah, and it's not really that foreign. I mean, it's foreign in VR, but Fortnite is, arguably one of the top games of all time, and it's free. So there's a business model for exactly what they're doing, and I think now is the time. They're going to be the first ones to do it, and if it's good enough, and I think it will be, it's AAA. It's in an arcade. I think it'll be really received very well. So
Yeah, it looks cool. It has a cool vibe. Puts me in the mind of like you said, Destiny or even Halo, one of these type of shooter games. And hey, it's free, right? What do you got to lose?
yeah, it's free. I like free.
I do. Well, I'm too good to play free stuff.
Oh, that's right. You still like it though.
Yeah, that could be awesome, but I got to keep up appearances. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can't be seen in a free game.
Oh, that's crazy.
All right. Anyway, moving on from that. After H, definitely something to keep an eye out on. It's coming 1 week's time, next Monday. A free AAA FPS. I know we're all shy, but free's free, people. Get in there and check it out. All right, moving on. Just a little tidbit here about a title that was announced a few months back, something fairly highly anticipated. And I'm speaking, of course, about Pixel Ripped 1995. As we all know, Pixel Ripped 1995 is a VR title that is currently in development and will serve as a sequel to the popular title Pixel Ripped 1989. Ruuts, Pixel Ripped 1989, a nostalgia trip, not only full of sounds and imagery that throw you back to your childhood, but gameplay reminiscent of the games that we grew up on. A popular title among many people in the VR community, as many people in the VR community tend to be our age and come from this generation. First of all, does the prospect of a sequel to this game excite you at all?
Oh yeah, I didn't want it to end when it did, even though that last boss was pretty damn hard. This game was so different than anything I'd ever played that I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to do with the sequel.
Yeah, well, they announced the sequel. They never gave us any footage, never gave us anything other than a graphic for the logo, and ever since then, this has been months ago. This was even before E3, if I'm not mistaken. Nothing. Peep, mum's the word. And this week, we learned that Brazilian developer and publisher Arvor has announced that Pixel Rip 1995 demo sessions will be held this year during Oculus Connect 6. So just a few weeks away, there's a playable demo now, Ruuts. So it seems like this thing may be a little bit closer than we thought. We got a little bit of info about the game too from the press release. We found out that the game is set during the time when the first generations of home console players were maturing from teenager to adult, and games were evolving from 16-bit to the 32-bit era, from 2D graphics to 3D environments. Ruuts, I specifically remember this era that they're talking about. They're talking about the dawn of the PlayStation era, the old school gray PlayStation, an era very near and dear to my heart, just like the first Pixel Rip was. Were you a big gamer back during this time?
Oh yeah, I've been a gamer my whole life. So I mean, I think I didn't get the PlayStation. I didn't mess around with PlayStations until I think it was PlayStation 3. But I've always had Nintendos, computers, other stuff as well. So
this would have been for you. This would have been around the time of what, Nintendo 64? Yeah,
yep,
yeah, it would have been around the N64 era for you, because when everyone else were going to disk drives, Nintendo stuck with cartridges, but they jacked it up to 64 bits.
Mario, dude, Mario,
yeah.
that game, jumping into the pictures, it was like Mario 64 was revolutionary. That's what, like, oh my God, it's so good.
So when you hear that this game is going to be set during that era and it's going to involve a bit of nostalgia from that time, this is something that people could connect with, maybe even at a stronger level than the original Pixel Rip, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and I hope they stick with the thinking outside the box, and it's similar but different as far as gameplay, and obviously it's going to be better graphics and more 3D and more to the games as far as that goes. But this was so unique. I'd like to see a lot of unique ideas as well.
Yeah, well, they gave us a quote to that effect, and let's see here. First of all, it says the Cyberlin Lord is going to be returning again to steal the Pixel Stone, so it's going to be a true sequel. Quote, thanks to the success of the first game, we are able to dedicate more resources and have a lot more experience to create a game that is an even crazier nostalgic adventure. So this goes back to what we've talked about almost weekly on this show, that VR developers now are starting to have some resources as well as some experience, so they know what to do with those resources. They're promising the innovative use of classic mechanics, gaming references, secrets, and of course the challenging gameplay of the 1990s classics, which is another thing that we talk about quite a bit on this show. Ruuts, they're saying all the right things, aren't they?
Oh yeah, and the fact that their game has chops from the first one. Like they could have said nothing, released it tomorrow, and I'm buying it. I'm not looking for a review to see if it's good or not. I'm pretty damn sure it's going to be good. But I like to hear everything we want actually said, because you never know these days.
Yeah, they're checking off all the boxes. Once again, Ana Ribeiro is going to be the creative director here. So I think we can expect more of the same from her. And, I expect it to be way cooler than the first one, even because of the reasons that we just listed. She knows why her original game is so loved. And obviously, she's a very creative person. and she comes from the same. She's cut from the same cloth as us. She's making the games that we would make if we knew how to make games.
Yeah.
And with more resources and experience to draw from, certainly excited to see what they're going to be able to pull out of the hat this time, so to speak.
I'm excited to not have to either look at that 1995 picture or use old footage, because I just couldn't use the picture again this week. I want new footage. I want to see a little bit, even if it's a 10-minute teaser. Give Ruuts something to play as a freaking thing in the background. So.
Well, if it's true that they're going to have a playable demo this week, there's got to be some footage on the way, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and you should be able to get somebody like Cass and Cherry or somebody that'll be at the Oculus. They'll usually get some footage out there. So,
well, there's a lot of is it in California, the OC6? Is that where it's at?
I think so.
Yeah, there's a lot of content creators out there on the West Coast, especially up in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of those guys come out of Seattle, and it's not that big of a trek. They could drive if they wanted to. They wouldn't have to fly to it. So
yeah, maybe Anthony will go.
Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe he will. I mean, this isn't actually going to be in the convention center. This is going to be at an adjacent hotel. So even if he didn't go to the OC6, if he really wanted to just go and play this game, I'm sure he could.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so as well. All right, moving on to another teaser for another new game. And Ruuts, let me just say, this one, it really just tickles my balls. This, I'm so excited for this, because as we were just talking about the PlayStation era, there were a couple of games from this era when we were transitioning from 16-bit to 32-bit. A couple of my favorite games were battle racers. Games like Road Rash, games like Twisted Metal. I love these games and spent countless hours in them, and I've constantly wondered why they haven't adopted this for VR, because it's a genre that seems so perfect for VR. Well, this week Oculus is teasing a game called Deathlap. And Deathlap, they're claiming, is a mashup of Twisted Metal, which is an all-time great video game, and Mario Kart, which is an all-time great video game. They didn't give us much. They gave us a 15-second teaser, but they don't have to give us much here. This is from Oculus Studios, so we know there's going to be a certain level of polish here, and it's a battle racer. That's it. Enough. Sold. What do you think, Ruuts? Are you as high on this as I am?
It looks amazing. Just the different, I mean, of course, we got it's a 10-second teaser clip, so we don't have too much. But like you said, the fact that it's Oculus Studios and the fact that every single game that I keep seeing coming out, new trailers just look better and better. More AAA. And if this is actual footage, it looks amazing.
Dude, I've wanted a battle racer in VR for so long. There was another one, kind of a jank PlayStation title. It may even be out on PC. I forget what it was called. Maybe Apocalypse Ride or something like that. It didn't look that great, so I didn't try it. But this looks good, and they haven't given us much. We do have a few tidbits here on the game. It's from OZWE Games. It's a studio behind Anshar VR, so experienced VR developers, first of all. Published by Oculus Studios, as I already mentioned. We know that the game is going to have 5 tracks. Listen to these tracks. A psychedelic desert, oil on fire in the desert, Las Vegas by night, an abandoned theme park, and a giant pinball. Deathlap will also arrive both single-player and multiplayer modes, with up to 6-player multiplayer, which includes a global leaderboard, coming soon to Rift S and Quest. Great, right? I mean, I don't know what else to say. This sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy. It just shows you, how far we're going. And one thing that's striking me as you're watching these cars go, and you got one hand's driving the steering wheel, the other one's using the gun, and it's shooting. And then I think about that, and then I think about L.A. Noire, and I think about walking around the town and getting out and doing stuff. And I think about all these different little tidbits of different games that could all be combined to be GTA 5 or GTA 6 or any of these. Like, that's what you're doing. You're steering, you're shooting out the window. Like, we're here. We're at the point where they literally could do it. They could do it really easily. I don't think we're anywhere near, but I mean, my God, GTA 5 is just about played out. Now would be a perfect time, would it not, to release a port over to VR.
Well, I don't want to get off on a rant about that again, but I've always referred to the GTA 5 online VR as the singularity. When we get that, it's over. Everybody's going to adopt VR because that will be such a perfect experience. People are going to live in that whenever it happens, whether it be next year or 5 years from now. That's the singularity. That's going to be the turning point.
Yeah.
But as far as this game goes, what you were talking about is exactly what I mean when I say that the battle racer, it's so perfect for VR. The fact that you can drive and you have a free hand to fight with, it amazes me that it's taken this long for these type of games to come to VR. I mean, did you ever play Road Rash or Twisted Metal way back in the day?
Well, a little bit, not as much as other racer games. I was playing Mario Kart, getting really good at that.
Yeah.
But a similar thing. Like they said, they're bringing it together. And this game obviously is a little bit different. You're using actual weapons, but it just looks really good. And people like Alex and Chris Gould will be in hog heaven when they're playing games like this with their setups and shit.
Dude, if this game lives up to half of its potential, I'm going to live in it because I used to have so much fun. Dude, if they were to ever put Road Rash in VR, I would be so freaking out of this world excited. I don't know if I'll ever play anything else again. It's a motorcycle racer, but you have like clubs and chains and shit. So as you're passing your opponent, you can knock them off their bike and stuff.
That would be so cool.
It would be awesome, right?
All right, so let me ask you this then. Is this game, if it's as good as you were thinking it's going to be, and you can do multiple things, you're steering and driving, could this entice you to maybe get a wheel if it's as good as you want? Because it's already making me want a wheel, because just having the steering and then using your gun, it's going to legit feel so much better.
You know what? Yeah, because I already want a wheel for all these other games. And just the experience I had this last week trying to steer in Operation Warcade and do this kind of fighting, it was a bit frustrating. And it's kind of like trying to use a steering wheel in VR with a controller. It's kind of that same weird feeling you get when you're using a two-handed weapon. It just don't feel one-to-one. And again, this is a genre that I've wanted in VR for a long time. So if this game turns out to be on the level of something like Twisted Metal, yeah, this very well could be the thing that pushes me over a line to pick up a wheel.
Yeah, I want to get a wheel. It just the immersion level. I think it really makes a difference from what I hear from people I respect, like Alex and Chris. Both say it's night and day difference. So I'm leaning towards getting one.
Yeah, I've wanted one for a while too. It's just hard for me to justify dropping a couple of bills.
Death lap. There's your justification.
That may be
maybe
it.
Maybe
that may be it. I have to try it out. Hopefully soon, comes really soon. And
Yeah, who knows what
interestingly,
that means?
yeah. Well, interestingly, though, I mean, you look at this; it looks really good. But this game is touted for Oculus Quest as well, which I find interesting. I think this is something that PC VR gamers are just going to have to start living with as the new reality. I think that Oculus Quest is just going to be the priority for developers going forward, just because of the numbers game, because that's where the money's at. Do you think that this is something? Well, let me ask: is this something that excites you or something that concerns you?
No, I don't think it makes a difference. I mean, I've played too many games already that are Oculus exclusives, or I mean, Quests and Rifts, and they're amazing on the Rift, and they're just that much better. So I don't think the developers are going to be, hamstringed into not putting up a good quality for the Rift. So
overall, then it would be a good thing because of the increased player base, making VR a more viable platform for game developers.
yeah, and the biggest thing we've all been talking about, especially with Quest, is getting people into VR. So whatever does that is good, even if maybe a certain game isn't as good on the PC side as it could have been. Although we were just talking about Journey of the Gods, and I still have no desire to go back to that game, just because there's a level for me of just but
That's a fun game, though. I don't. It's not as good as it could have been, but it's still a really good, fun game.
yeah, it's just for me, it's like, because it was so graphically basic, I just couldn't get past it, and I don't know why. Maybe I just need to give it some more time. But it just didn't. I feel like it was like, okay, this is cool because it's like first of its kind, not cool because it's really cool. It's like Zelda, so it's cool. But when we actually get Zelda, we're gonna think, yeah, this thing was shit. But it's all progression. So for right now, it's cool. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. So
Well, all I'm saying is that later in the game, the gameplay is really fun. The fighting, the battling is fun. If you enjoyed what we played together earlier today, you would enjoy the later levels of Journey of the Gods, because it's very similar graphically and it's very similar gameplay.
can I play it with you and Scion?
You cannot.
Oh, see, that's what was fun about today. That was super fun. But we'll get on to that later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. So again, Deathlap, awesome. Long overdue to have a battle racer in VR. Even more excited that it's coming from Oculus Studios. Highly, even with this very small amount of information and small amount of footage, easily up into my top 10 most anticipated games. I hope we don't have to wait very long for it.
Yeah.
All right, so going from the newly announced games, let's go into some old games, because we got some new information this week on some very old games, and some oldies but goodies. And let's start with The Forest. So The Forest VR, one of the very first games that I bought coming into VR, PC VR I should specify. Still a game that is in my backlog that I never played. I picked it up on a sale, read some of the reviews on it. Apparently the VR the VR version of this wasn't implemented as well as it could have been. And I've just kind of went on to other things. I picked it up because it was a good deal. I picked it up because it was a dark game. I like dark, scary, evil games, and this appears to be one of those. So this game's been out for a while. You kind of got the impression that it is what it was going to be until this past week, 9/11, The Forest receives this huge update. And I mean absolutely huge. And 95% of the things that they patched in here were fixes. They were quality of life upgrades for the VR version. Stuff that's basically going to make this game finally seem like a game that was made for VR. You know, at first when I read this, I was going to read down the list of the updates, what they're doing here. But I got reading, and 5 minutes go by, and a few more minutes go by, and I think, there's probably 5 or 10 more things to read here. I'm going to have to pick a few of them out. Let's scroll down and see how much more there is. And I start scrolling, and I realize I'm not even halfway down the page yet. So I counted 122 individual fixes and updates and upgrades to the Forest. Ruuts, I've never played the Forest VR. You have. Was it cool before? And is it something that you're looking forward to going back into now that you see that it's actually going to provide a highly polished VR experience?
Yeah, it was really cool actually, and I played it with my nephew and my friend and my nephew's girlfriend, and it was amazing. But I know exactly where these, without even reading it, where a lot of these things have to be going, because it was the jankiest thing. Like, I was destroying shit. Like, we would spend 20-30 minutes building this houseboat and everything, and I put my controllers down, and I came back, went to the bathroom and came back, and everyone was freaking out, and somehow my thing had destroyed everything. Or I would go to grab, they had something cooking on the fire, and I went to go grab it, and somehow I destroyed the fire, and then everyone's like, oh, I thought I started that food cooking, and I'm like running away trying to hide and pretend that it wasn't me. Oh yeah, that's messed up, There was a lot of jank, so I am excited to get back into this because two reasons. One, it was amazing to begin with. The story, it's creepy as hell, and two, we were talking earlier about actually doing this as like a meetup for in the Discord, and getting in some people like we did with Scion for Rec Room and other games, and just getting a whole bunch of people in and just having a really cool time. This game is super fun.
Yeah, it looks cool. It looks like it'd be right down my alley. Actually, this is my type of shit. This is what I love, is this type of thing. It does seem like it might be a bit grind heavy, but
that's why you have people with you and let them do the work.
Exactly. This is the type of thing that's perfect for multiplayer. So yeah, I'm down 100%. I've already got it. I bought this game when I first got VR, PC VR, for a reason. It's because I thought it looked cool. And now that I'm seeing that, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of work for a dev to put in a game that's this old. That's also a flat game. It's not like this was built to be a VR game, but just seeing how much work that this developer has put into this game to support VR, I think that says something good about VR, don't you?
Yeah, and it just shows you that these developers are starting to push and finish games and finish their visions. And it's awesome. It's like No Man's Sky finally, after several years of putting in all the work, this game as well. It's just we're gonna see more and more ports, not only come over, but just blow us away. What'll really blow us away, and I can't remember if this is the case. I'm pretty sure it's just push buttons, but when they start porting everything over and they figure out how to easily move everything to motion controller, and that's like a standard port over, because right now it's it's so easy, and I don't mind using a controller. I know a lot of people complain, but if it gets me into the game and the difference of it is me doing something with my motion controller and not, I'm okay with it. But I'm pretty sure this actually does let you do it, because I remember hacking the hell out of with my axe, and everybody in my party was like, how the hell are you hitting so fast? Because they were limited, because they were on the pushing a button, and I was like just going to town. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, full motion controller support for all platforms on this game, including Valve Index now with the individual finger tracking.
Wow.
It's all there now. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's amazing. So yeah, I'm really psyched to go back into this.
All right, cool. It's a day. I'm down too. We'll have to uh, make this a future topic for a Monday backlog report, or maybe even do a review if we get a lot of time in there.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, from one dated horror game to the next, I want to talk a little bit about Dreadhalls. Now, this is a Mamefan special. Every time I start talking about uh, VR horror games, I need to find a new VR horror game that I need to play. Justin says I need to play Dreadhalls, and never have tried it. This is an old game. This is it's a procedurally generated kind of it's kind of like a dungeon crawler game, but really you're just trying to find your way out. Monsters could be around any corner in this game, and I suppose it is very jarring when you run into one of these creatures. But this is a very, very old game. It was released originally um, 2015. It predates Oculus Rift. It predates HTC Vive. This was a Gear VR title, 2015, and this game, man, it has to be something to it. It continues to persist year after year after year, and this year being no different. Dreadhalls coming on October 3rd to Oculus Quest, $10. Ruuts, are you surprised that this game continues to persist, continues to receive praise from the VR community, and continues to expand to new platforms?
No, I'm not surprised at all because it's the immersion, the presence, and this game would be perfect for Alex because it, you know how he loves his jump scares. And what's crazy about this is like there's all these different enemies and each one of them is different as far like some you can't look at, some you don't want to move, some you need to get the hell away from, so you're and you got this map and the light's going out and you got to find the candles to fill or the oil to fill it up. And the graphics actually translate very well. They did a good job on the port. I mean, it's not obviously the most graphically intensive game to begin with, but the wall textures look good, and I like it. It's one of those games that I think you should try. I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that we're pretty much going to get a one-to-one port here, to be honest, because, like I said, this originally was released as a 2015 mobile VR game. So we already know what the Quest is capable of. So I think we're pretty much going to get a one-to-one Dreadhalls port here. Do you think the freedom of movement that comes from the being tetherless is going to make any kind of impact on this game?
I think it could be dangerous because people might be trying to run away from shit, Like at least I'm very aware, like we were saying earlier when I was playing, my feet for the most part are planted. I usually don't move them, but like in this, if you're moving around and walking around because you don't have the tether, if the wrong things happen, Alex might go running through a TV or something. Oh man, some people just really freak out with stuff, dude. Jump scares and stuff.
I think it might work good in a game like this just because having a little more freedom of movement might make you more apt to like peek around corners and things, which is always something that you do a lot of in a stealth horror game. So I think that it could be a little funner to play because of that. $10, a fair price?
Yeah, I think it's fair price. I mean, it's for what you get. I mean, it's not only just the free play mode of what you're talking about, but there's actually like a story mode, or I don't know exactly if there's a story per se, but like it leads you through more, and it's not just the free play. I can't remember exactly what it is, but you got to find some eyeball or something. I don't know. It's some weird shit, um, but yeah, and the amount of times you can go through, and then you can, like, if you own this game, who doesn't know somebody they don't want to put in there and say, hey, check out this game, you know? Oh no, it's good. Just you just pick up the oil and fill that up, you know? Next thing they know, there's some weird huge dog thing right on, you know. It gets the noises are very good as well, like the creaks and the sounds, and gets you really paranoid in there. So they do a very good job of giving you that anticipation of what's coming next. So, and it's almost
Yeah,
Halloween, so
right. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that because that's actually a very important part of any horror game in VR is the directional sound and the way that a good developer uses that sound to build tension. And if this is one of those games, all of a sudden I feel a whole lot better about it.
yeah, I think you'll like it. And there's a reason why everybody's likes it or raves about it, because it's cheap, and it gives you exactly what you would want. You know, there's so how many experiences do we have, whether it be roller coasters that don't deliver or horror games that are supposed to be scary, and you just kind of go through and you just not scary. You know, like I kind of want to be scared if I'm going into a scary game. I don't want to be have something jump out and be like, oh, that's cool, you know.
Yeah, speaking of which, Affected the Manor also getting a Quest port. That bit of news just popped as well. A lot of these games coming over to Quest.
Yeah, finally, right?
Right. All right. Moving on, we got another old game here to talk about. Really old one. Maybe not quite as old as Dreadhalls, but old nonetheless. And I am speaking, of course, about Chronos. Chronos was a third-person action role-playing game, kind of like a Zelda-esque game that launched exclusively with Oculus Rift. So this was a Rift launch title back in 2016 and has remained an exclusive Oculus title ever since then until now. Apparently, this past week, this title, developed by Gunfire Games, has been rated for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch. So we've got ESRB rating now for apparently a flat version of this game. Ruuts, this is a 3-year-old VR game. Is this something that's has a snowball's chance in hell in 2019 in the flat market?
I don't know. It's pretty damn good. Like I was telling you earlier, I really like the. It's hard as hell, but it's it's very unique as well, and the story, just everything about it is really cool. You know, it's the fact that every time you die, your character ages, and you get older, and then you know, like you have certain RPG points you can use that, like, okay, you're getting older now, you can't carry shit anymore, man. You should have put stuff in when you were younger. Now you don't have that option. Like, it has a lot of I found it crazy hard things too, but yeah, I think it should be pretty good. I mean if it's something comes out on the Switch, like there's so many Switches out there, I guarantee people are gonna, and people are loving these kind of third person type of games like this. So I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw it come to other VR markets. You know, I mean, I could see a point either way because it's an Oculus exclusive, but at some point, how many copies are they really selling anymore? You know, at what point does the exclusive not really matter anymore? And then you open it up and you can expose the game and make more money. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line here. This probably isn't exclusive anymore. Um, this is an obvious cash grab. Gunfire Games was recently acquired by THQ Nordic, so obviously they're trying to monetize uh, the properties that they've purchased. Um, unclear, unclear not only if this is going to be supported on PlayStation VR, but obviously it says it was rated for PC. Unclear if it's going to have official support for like HTC Vive or Valve Index, WMR. We don't know yet. But you know, this is a game that I've heard of. I've heard people talk about a little bit from time to time. I had no idea how cool this game looks. I really haven't paid much attention to it before now, but this thing looks pretty awesome, Ruuts.
Yeah, it's got real AAA quality to it, just like any other Oculus funded game. And it came out, pretty much I think in 2016 or very early on with the Oculus Rift, and it's just done so well. And if somebody likes a game that's hard, like I said, it's your decisions matter. What you put your points in matter, and you don't want to die, because when you die, you age, and you die a little inside. So.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, it looks cool. It definitely looks interesting. I think it looks like it would probably be a pretty good addition to the PlayStation VR library. So hopefully that's the direction they're going to go in with it. Still haven't gotten any kind of official announcement regarding this. This is just coming from an ESRB rating. So I don't think we're going to have to wait too long. We will know soon what the deal is here. Normally within a couple of months after ESRB rating, we get a release. So another one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it makes me want to go back in and try this again. I played. It's been like 6 months since I tried it, but it's fun.
Yeah, I like a good challenge. I like third-person games. I like adventure games, and I like a good story. And this checks all those boxes. So definitely,
yeah,
and maybe another good candidate for a review game, huh?
Yeah, I definitely.
All right, so we're quickly getting down to the bottom of our list here. Just one more small segment on one more game here. I want to talk a little bit about Gadgeteer, another Mamefan special here. He absolutely loved this game. Marathon played it until he made it through all, what was it, like 50 levels in this game, Ruuts? Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. I know he finished every single one, and that's why he's the finisher. I don't know that I'd have that much patience,
60 puzzles, as the graphic just said.
That's crazy.
He made it through this thing in like a week tops, and loved it. He basically said it was one of the best puzzle games of the year, if I remember correctly, and he absolutely loved it. They were talking about this game on Reddit. The developer was on there, Metanaut. Hi, Metanaut, a subscriber, a member of our Discord. They were talking on Reddit the other day, brainstorming pretty much ways to monetize this game, ways to make it profitable, and it came up, well, what about Oculus Quest? And the developer responded, quote, "It's coming out by the end of the year." Well, the initial reaction when I hear that is awesome, right? But then I think about it for a minute. Oculus Quest. Obviously, this is an independent developer. Obviously, if he's going to bring this to Quest, he's going to put a lot of work into developing it for Quest and porting it. And we've seen recently with games like To the Top, touring carts. We did a whole piece on this on a recent Monday show. It's not a lock that you're going to get a spot in the Oculus Quest store. And that really worries me for this game. Ruuts, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't do to the top touring carts. I mean, at some point, there's no rhyme or reason. They're not giving us criteria. So how do you know, as a developer or even as a consumer, how do I know? Like, if I am really hoping this comes to Quest, I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm going to start thinking. My first thought is, like you said, oh, cool. And then my second thought is, oh, is it coming? You know, the developer is very confident, but, you know, how do we know in January or February we're not hearing that this developer's pissed off because they wasted a year pouring it over to Quest, and they just said, nah, it's not full-fledged.
Yeah, it really worries me for him. I know that this guy, obviously the fact that they were even having this conversation about monetizing the game, it seems like a bit of a risky move. Hopefully he's already got the port approved, or at least some kind of had some kind of dialogue with Oculus about publishing this on the Quest store. I'd hate for this to be another one of these high quality games that ends up on itch.io or SideQuest. I'd like to see the developers succeed. And if you see this, Metanaut, please comment down below, or let us know in the Discord. Have you talked to Oculus about this? I know that you've stated that you're going to have the port ready by the end of the year, but are we guaranteed release here? Inquiring minds want to know. So let us know, buddy, and we'll be sure to pass on the information to our viewers.
They just need another competitor. You know, some other company to come out with another standalone console. And when the developers get turned down, they take the game and they put it on this other thing, and it starts building a library, and Quest can suck it. You know, like they're.
You know that is true. Viveport has it supports the Vive Focus standalone headset. There's an option. You know, it might not be your first option or your favorite thing to do, but it's a market. Why not be an HTC exclusive?
All right. Like if Oculus is turning you down anyway, why not go over to the other side? You know.
What I'm wondering is, to the top, what happened to these guys, man? They just went radio silent on this topic. I've kind of tagged them in tweets here and there. They used to be very vocal about it. They set up some kind of a meeting to talk to Oculus about it, and it's been mum ever since then. When
Zuckerberg sends people to your house at 3 a.m, you kind of shut up, probably, you know. Like, oh, you know what? Yeah, Facebook money.
Those guys have gotten quiet. I tell you what, Truant Pixel, they're not quiet about 2MD football. Ivanovich Games, they're not being quiet about touring carts. But the original offender, to the top, mum, nothing else about that. And I find that strange. I find it interesting. I want to know why. Maybe one day our channel will grow enough in scope that I can demand such answers, but until then we just have to wonder. Yeah. But anyway, Gadgeteer, this is something that should be within our scope. Metanaut, please let us know if you have had any kind of dialogue with Oculus about actually publishing your game.
What a great game this would be for Quest, though, right? If you could move around, and you could actually like really move around and place the pieces, and like I bet they nailed it, and hopefully they'll somehow be able to get it in there.
Well, Justin can tell us. Justin, if you watch this, buddy, let us know in the comments down below. Did you take full advantage of your wireless setup? Did it make a big difference for you in this game? Because he plays wirelessly everything, or he did back then anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, Justin, let us know. Does the freedom of movement that comes with wireless, does it make a difference in this game? I imagine it probably would.
Yeah.
And looking at this thing graphically, I'd say it probably ports pretty well too.
Yeah, I can't imagine, what the holdup would be. But I mean, it's running at 72 frames per second, so we always forget that. So who knows what the hell? It's not like you're moving around, but.
Right. All right, so I guess that's going to wrap us up here for another awesome episode of Virtual Strangers. Did we miss out on a topic that you want to talk about? let us know in the comments down below or hit us up on Discord. You can find an invite link in the description down below. Again, this, for those of you who are new to our channel, we're not so much of a news reporting program here as commentary. We editorialize a few of the topics of the week that we want to talk about. Normally, we like talking about really cool games. For example, like After H, or what was the other one, the one that I like so well, Deathlap. This is the shit we like talking about. That sort of stuff is what this show specifically is all about. The older games, the stuff we've been playing, that's the Monday show. And we're about to talk about that because now that we've come to the end of the topics for this week, we're going into the segment of our show where we talk about what's coming during the rest of the week on the Virtual Strangers channel. So, again, as always, every Sunday in the early afternoon, I'm not going to quote the time because something always happens when I quote the time. In the very early afternoon on Sunday, Eastern Time, this program, Virtual Strangers, live premieres on YouTube. So if you want to chat with me, you want to chat with Ruuts, you want to chat with the members of our community, click the subscribe, click the bell there, and every Sunday we're on that chat room chatting it up with you guys come hell or high water. Monday brings the Monday show. And what the Monday show is a way for us to talk about what we've been playing, talk about older games, and then we wrap up the show every week with some kind of a topical discussion. So what are we going to talk about on Monday show number 5 this week? Well, first of all, we're going to give some impressions of Battlewake. Battlewake released this past week, notoriously absent from our news rundown. Why is that? Well, the reason why is because we're going to give our impressions on the Monday show. So, brand new pirate battler from Servios. What does Ruuts think? What do I think? Tune in on the Monday show. We're going to tell you what we think. All right, coming up after Battlewake, Ruuts and I, earlier today, for the first time in my case, we went in the rec room. I'd never been in the rec room before. People keep telling me that I gotta try it. This came up on a recent episode. Scion, one of our subscribers, was kind enough to leave some comments down below saying that he would be glad to show me around. So earlier today, Ruuts and I met up in rec room after I learned how to walk and do all the basic shit. We got up with Scion, played some games, played some quests mostly, recorded the whole thing, both from my point of view and Ruuts' point of view. Video forthcoming, but we're going to talk about my first rec room experience. What did we like? What did we not like? Again, coming up tomorrow on the Monday show. Now, Battlewake, Rec Room, those are our two games. What is going to be our topic for the week? Well, we're going to do something a little different this week, something we've never done before on this channel. We're going to talk hardware, because what's the Monday show about, Ruuts? What do we do on the Monday show?
We talk about a couple different games, and then we bring up a topic, and we were talking about it in Discord, and we both concluded that there's a topic we wanted to talk about hardware wise.
Right,
so.
Exactly. That's the thing. We talk about two games in a topic, but what do all three things have in common? It's what we want to talk about.
Yep.
So this week we decided that we want to talk about Vive Cosmos. You know, Vive Cosmos was just announced. You can pre-order it now, but up until this past week, we really didn't have a full spec sheet for it. $700. Is that good? Is that bad? It depends on how you look at it. And I believe that HTC has been very deft about how they've gone about pricing it. how they've gone about releasing their information. So there's an interesting conversation to be had here, not only about marketing, not only about the hardware, but about the space in the market. Where does HTC, where do they see their space? What is the, who are they trying to sell this to, basically? We're going to talk about this and more on the Monday show, so tune in tomorrow for that. All right, and to wrap up the week, going forward, we always release a couple of reviews, normally later in the week, just basically when we feel the time is right. Ruuts picks a game to review. I pick a game to review. Ruuts, what are you going to pick this week, bud?
My game that we're going to pick does a couple things. One, because we already talked about it a little bit, and I really want to get you into this game and maybe even start our own server at some point, and that is Minecraft. And I was shocked when I found out you'd never been in here, and especially with the way your kids are fanatics about this game. Just the idea of what we were talking about, them building daddy something and you getting to go in and check it out, I think is adorable. And I don't know, man, Minecraft I think is just one of the biggest untapped resources that people never think about, and most people own already, or at least I did. So
all right, so cool. Definitely. Again, 150 million copies of Minecraft sold to date. Did I get that number right? 150 million?
that is crazy, right? If it's not that much, it's probably more. That is
insane
insane
it's
to
more.
me.
Over 150 million copies sold. So yeah, definitely a worthwhile review to do, to say the least. So look out for that. My game this week is going to follow along with a concept that I started on last week. You know, I recently had some hardware upgrades to my setup here, some software stuff as well, and I've got myself in position now to do Oculus Quest content. So last week I did Apex Construct and Quest. I'm going to continue along this theme for the next few weeks. This week being no different. This week we're going to be playing Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs on Oculus Quest. It's a game I've already played through on PC, a game Ruuts has already put substantial time into. I'm going to be trying it out on Quest, recording that, and we're going to come back and review it this week on the channel. So, to recap, this Sunday and every Sunday in the early afternoon on Sunday, live premiere of the Virtual Strangers program on YouTube. Tune in, subscribe, click the bell, and show up and let's chat. Follow that up on Monday, as always, with the Monday show. And then on to round out the week, we're going to have Ruuts' review of Minecraft, and then my review of Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs. And thus we'll conclude the 25th week of awesome content here on the Virtual Strangers channel.
One more week and we're halfway there for a half a year. So
yeah,
crazy.
We're getting to be, it's getting to be old hat veterans, YouTube veterans.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you've made it this far, folks, we want to thank you for watching. For Ruuts, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends.
Yep. Take it easy.